You remember being in elementary school and they would have food drives or, bring some canned food for the hungry and the starving and the needy and all that stuff. You remember just leaving those few, cans of food that nobody wanted, so those are the ones that you picked and you took them to school. Didn't you just leave with all that feeling like the biggest asshole? Like, take these low sodium vegetarian beans, and the expiration date's like 1989, March the 3rd or some shit. But what if you just leave those food drives in elementary school just feeling like the biggest prick, the biggest fucking asshole, because you knew you had a pantry back at home full of fucking ravioli and spaghettios with meatballs and fucking all the good shit, right? But you would just take that one can of like mashed potatoes in a can or fucking vegetarian beans and you just like, wow, I'm the biggest sack of irrepressible human shit on the planet, right? Or is that just me? I'm in my mid 30s, late 30s by this point, and I still feel like a dick about that shit. 25 years ago. Hey, Miss Oliver Stone, I brought a can of peas and some vegetarian beans. But all the good shit stayed back home, motherfucker. Won't get We ain't gonna give these starving fucking kids on the other side of the world my fucking spaghettios with meatballs. You fucking crazy, bro. They ain't worthy of my fucking. They ain't worthy of my Chef Boyardee ravioli. Hell nah. They best be content with what they get. But just tons of thoughts, ideas bouncing around, and the 3 pound organ inside our skull that we call the brain. And it's all quite insane, right? The God electron and firings and pathways we built in our brain, and some of us more than others, or some of us more than not, are in the end responsible. Or is there accountability? Nature versus nurture? I don't really know. I always like going back to that question when it comes to like any animal in the animal kingdom. Nature versus nurture. Well, if the well, let's just stay in one place because I'm gonna start going off on a pointless fucking tangent about algae and rabbits and dinosaurs and aliens on the other side of Mars and all that shit. But so yeah, nature versus nurture. How much would you say, at least this is all hyperbole, obviously there's no number you can reach and be like, this is the number, it's fucking 67%. But are those two always in this constant fluctuation? Is one more dominant than the other? When it comes to the human condition, or the point that we are here in Western civilization in America, um, nature or nurture? Which one? Which one holds more weight? Would you say it's like maybe 80%? Seems too high. Again, there is no there's no way you can compute this mathematically, but is it supposed to be 50-50? Do you just let nature do its thing? Or, well, the way you are is because the way you were raised and your parents. So, in the end, no one really has any sort of free will, because those instances that were happening as you were a child, as you were in the crib, whether they attended to you every minute of your waking day, or they just left you in a crib smothered in your own piss and shit for hours on end, and then they'll just be like, all right, change it, just throw them back in there, whatever, close the door, don't want to hear this bitch crying. Or were they really nurturing and loving and playing, music and playing Beethoven, next to your crib every night before you went to bed, and that created all this stimulus in your brain, and now you're a fucking musician or whatever, right? Um, I guess all those things ultimately they are going to matter. They are going to play a factor. They're going to play a role in how your brain was growing and evolving in those early stages of life, right? But um, there is a lot of successful people that maybe not so many these days, but there is successful people that started from the ground up, started with nothing. Maybe they got lucky along the way. Sometimes they say it's better to be lucky than to be good. It's better to be lucky than to be great. But so yeah, before I start going off on all these other tangents and bullshit, I guess I'll just stick it to that bubble, that main consensus of nature versus nurture, and are they both equal in accountability into who we evolve into as individuals on an individual level, because obviously everybody's different. Everybody's gonna have a different perspective. Everybody's gonna have different morals, different goals, different opinions, all that fucking bullshit, right? And that's what makes you you. Yay! Um, but yeah, it's just does one outweigh the other? Nature, nurture, or do they both like have this symbiotic relationship? And in the end, ultimately, I would believe that one can exist without the other. So there is no uh, superior or one that's of less importance, one that's of greater importance. If you still need both of those key, you know, elements or conditioning to which makes an individual human being, then I would imagine that they both hold equal weight. Sometimes one more than the other, but they're always kind of like the double helix DNA, just always just kind of spiraling together, and you can't really have one without the other, because then it's a system that can't sustain itself. It all comes crashing down. But yeah, just interesting. The key to it all is that human beings need to go back to riding horses. That's the key to everything. But we're not going to do that because we're too far off. We're too gone, lost in the concrete abyss of the 21st century. But going back to symbiotic relationships and nature and nurture, it's like, could the human race, would the human race have gotten as far as it did up on the evolutionary chain, on the, the, what's that word? Um, my thoughts are escaping me at the moment, but like the top of the food chain, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? Um, could have the human species done that without horses? And you think back to the old times and before there was cars or anything and how people would get around. Cowboys versus Indians, riding into a foreign city or state, riding them horses on horseback. I don't know. It's those type of things, right? And it's like the human. There's this thing like in our brains that like, yeah, we did it all by ourselves. Us Homo sapiens, we walked out of the caves one day and we started exploring. That's how we're at the top of the food chain. We're the apex predator because we did it on our own. But it's like there's still dozens, if not hundreds, of other animals that, had it not been for their existence, we wouldn't be here and have evolved into what we are now. But it's like the ego brain of just like, yeah, that's why we're kings of the mountain. Yet you look at the world now and the state that it's in, and we're like devolving drastically. Our wants, our desires, our goals are just, they seems more and more superficial as fuck more than ever. And the people that, you know, get famous or go viral on, the interwebs these days are over the most mundane, pointless, fucking three brain cell level of just, it hurts. Like, it hurts to just think about, like, the youth today, like, their heroes, their role models are. It's like, it's sad. It's sad. It's so sad that I don't even want to think about it right now. I ventured off into this other. I started off with nature versus nurture, and now I'm at like social media and the youth and these levels of acceptance and who they accept and who they crown as their heroes and role models, and it's fucking it's fucked up. It's depressing. I don't even want to think about it. But anyway, so yeah, this world needs another George Carlin. That's what it needs. So what's up with all these fucking conservatives obsessed with the unborn? From conception of the fetus to 9 months, they're obsessed with the unborn. But as soon as you're born, fuck you, you're on your own. You're on your own. Fuck you, you're on your own. You're on your own. Oh, man. Yeah, full circle, yeah. Talk about abortion, right? They're obsessed with the unborn. But as soon as they're born, fuck you, you're on your own. You're on your own. I always get into that, whenever it does come up with certain family members and stuff. And they think I'm insane and a monster because I'm pro-choice and I'm not anti-woman. So everything in life is circumstantial, and not every woman gets pregnant under this fucking Romeo and Juliet, everything's perfect circumstances and scenarios. And it's like the cook in the movie Spun, when he's like, when I was 5, 6 years old, Mama had these litter of puppies, and she was bent over there by the bathtub, and bathtub full of water, and one by one she was just drowning these puppies. Just drowning these puppies in the bathtub, and I looked over and I said, "Why?" And she just looked me in the eye and said, I'm just killing what I can't take care of. Then my mama said to me, sometimes I wish I could do that to you. And hell, maybe she should have. But anyway, yeah. Mickey Rourke, Spun, if you haven't seen it. I just gave away like the best fucking scene of the whole fucking movie. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, it's over 20 years old and you're a loser and you're a fucking idiot for not having heard of that movie in over 20 years. But anyway, JK, you're a loser and you're a retard in Fortnite. Okay, not in real life. In Fortnite. Okay. Um, so yeah, abortion. Yeah, I don't know. You're unborn, you're all right. As soon as you're born, fuck you, you're on your own. You're on your own. It's just hilarious. I don't know. It's just that GIF is just playing in my head over and over. But yeah, it's like midnight and the lighting's pretty horrible in here. But my ceiling fan is broken and so is my heart. But yeah, abortion and everything is just so circumstantial, and the levels and circumstances of when and how and why a woman gets pregnant isn't always the fucking same. But some people can't just say they can't fathom that. They're like no, but, well then she should have known. She should have kept her legs closed. And it's like, so because of that, or she made a mistake, or she had one too many to drink, or whatever the fuck, right? Oh, well then she should know better next time. She should keep her fucking legs closed and use a condom. It's like because of that. So now, because of a mistake that she made, and she doesn't want any she doesn't want to hold any accountability for this baby. Well, it's for now. It's a clump of cells. It's a fetus. You know, a fetus is more of a parasite more than a human being with its five senses and a 3 pound brain in its skull. You know, there's a big difference between a clump of cells that's more of a fucking parasite than anything, um, leeching off its mother's life source in order to sustain its own self. But yeah, it's just mind-boggling to me. This, like, someone made a mistake, or God forbid was raped or whatever the fuck, right? And it's just like, well, no, well, next time she should know, but she has to bring that child into this world, because that way next time she's gonna know better. All right, next time she's gonna fucking keep her legs closed. So she has to have this child. That child's not gonna be a symbol of an affectionate love and mother nature, or this mother gene, or lovey-dovey heart warms kisses and blankets and all that. No, that baby's not going to be, that's not going to be the foundation of its existence. The foundation of its existence is going to be, so that way next time you know to keep your fucking legs closed and wear a condom. That's why you have to have this child, so you can learn a lesson in life and know next time just keep your fucking legs closed, you fucking whore. So you're going to have this baby, not because you want to have it. So next time you fucking know not to make that mistake. And it's like, so you just admitted to yourself and to everyone else that it is a mistake. And if a mother doesn't want to hold accountability, future accountability 9 months down the line, she should always have the option to have an abortion early in the early. Obviously, there has to be rules and regulations and all that. You know, I'm not for hacking a 8 month and a half, humanoid's head off and just throwing it in the trash and saying fuck that. I think that's a little too late in the game. Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable and obvious, and whatever else you want to call it. That yeah, there should be rules in place, but the option should always, women should always have an option to have an abortion in the early weeks of conception if you choose to have one. It's never fun. It's never like these women are like in an abortion line, like with a big old smile on their face, like I'm getting my 10th abortion today, yay! I mean, it's fucked. It can be traumatizing to. It is can be, or in most cases, is traumatizing, and it does take a lot of work to recover from something like that. But I mean, a male, like even just as a from like a species, just an animal standpoint, like a male just fucking ejaculates and then that's it. Not to worry about shit. You just run off and be like, I don't give a fuck. A woman's gonna have to carry that motherfucker in her fucking womb for 9 fucking months. She should have the ultimate fucking say as to whether she does or doesn't want to have that child or bring that child into the world. And then people are like, oh well, bro, if your fiance and you guys were planning to have a kid, and then the last minute she says she doesn't want to have it after all, what are you gonna do about it? How are you gonna react? I was like, well, if I really, 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 really wanted a family, and then she hits me with that bullshit, well then and there I know that it's just not gonna work, and she's not gonna be the one, and all this bullshit, and I'll just take my ball and go home, or take my balls and go home. Um, but yeah, it's like then it sucks, but that's what would happen. It's like, well, she said this and that. Yeah, well, things change, people change, and it sucks, but it's just a part of fucking life, isn't it? But yeah, this video's gone way longer than I had intended, but it had been a quick minute since I had made one, and I felt like just talking into the Google sphere and just let some of the thoughts run out. But the whole premise of this video was I do want to just bring it back to nature versus nurture, and let me know what you think as far as, is one more important than the other? Are they both equally accountable? Are they equals? Are they the yin to the yang? Or is one slightly more superior or of more importance than the other in regards to nature versus nurture? Y'all be safe out there in clown world. Just remember, we beat healthcare. 1,022,000 citizens in this country. Slavery. God bless America. God bless slavery. I love the ice cream. God bless America. I just huh? The democracy. This is America to people of America. You create 22 million new jobs, the highest economy spread in ever history in the world, and it's for our nation. And you created jobs for everybody, equal playing field. Not just a cum bucket on top of my head, and it's because we, as citizens of the country, together we beat healthcare. We beat Medicare into the fucking ground. Go game.